for right now, let's get this party started. So, like I said, it is no secret that there was segregation going on during World War II, World War One. So you get the gist of it. But in case, like I said, I always treat these shows as if you didn't know that, as if you don't even know what segregation is. So I'm where I found videos that's going to explain it to you. These guys that I get these videos from is fantastic. I appreciate them and I give them full credit. My only thing that I add is our comments after the video, but they do a phenomenal job and I really appreciate them. So, how was segregation between blacks and white during every war?
In 1940, there were less than 10,000 black members of the U.S. Armed Forces. But by the end of the war, that figure had risen to 1.2 million, and over 2.5 million had registered for the draft. Still, despite this rapid growth, segregation limited the nature of the duties black soldiers were assigned to, and restricted the possibility for upward mobility. Despite all that they had done for the American military in previous wars, many still considered black soldiers to be too cowardly to fight, too inept to execute military strategy, and too unfit to lead others. Black and white military personnel had been divided into separate units since the Civil War, and during World War II, they continued to be kept in separate facilities. There were segregated sleeping quarters, transportation, canteens, and even church services.
Do you know how segregated you got to be when you can't even worship together? Like they don't even want you in there to worship the same God that you're worshiping. That's how segregated it can be. You can argue the other ones fine. You can't even worship together? Are you serious? What? Tracy?
Oh, you had to call me first. Okay, so realizing I'm going to church tomorrow, this country get on my last working nerves with this obliterated mess. We're good enough to fight for you. We're good enough to lay down our lives for you, but you know what? We don't really want anything to do with you. Be separate. And they wonder why so many black people don't like this country, don't like living in it, would rather live somewhere else. Gee, I can't fathom out why.
Anna?
There's not a whole lot I can add. It's disgusting. It's the U.S. of A.
Yeah. It is I'm like you, Anna. I don't even have anything to add to that. Famous last words. Separate by equal, except they aren't equal.
I think she meant separate
but equal. I know. And that's the funny thing about it is what Theus was talking about, we have no problem separating from black people. I have no issue with separating from white people. I don't have a problem with white people. I've literally have sat here and said many of the times I don't have a problem with white people. I have a problem with ignorance, racism, and bigotry. And you happen to be that certain color, that I have a problem with you. But I'm not going to throw your whole race into the same mix. At the same time, I have no problem being separated by you and living amongst my own people. You have no problem with it. Technically, you don't. You have no problem with the separation. Go back to Africa, go back to your country, go. You have no problem with that. It's that equal part you have a damn problem with. That's the part that you just you don't want that. There was a family in Georgia who bought an abundance amount of land. And they told everybody that they was going to build housing for the black community, period. It was going to be specifically for, it was going to be a specifically black neighborhood. They was going to build the houses, black families, singles, families, whatever, buy the houses. It was going to be us. And certain white people had a damn fit. Now they was calling racism, knowing damn well their neighborhoods who are predominantly, if not completely, white and gated and guarded. You don't have a problem with the separation part. You have a problem with the equal part. But let's move on before I start preaching like this. See, I
I
feel
was confused with that last. We had a comment that spoke about how um oh, they put some word in front of segregation, but it's like, okay,
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Let me see if I can find it. We had a couple of commenters last week. Some was hurting my head because, okay, folks, if y'all gonna write, fine. I don't have an issue with it. Punctuation. That's all I'm damn asking for, bro. I'm not even think I'm
please.
asking much. I know what you were saying, but oh my God, periods, question marks, quote, the simpler ones, period, commas, exclamation mark, question mark. Those forward count. I'm not even gonna
Capitalization also is helpful.
see now.
It would help.
Now you're asking for too much. Let's see if I can find that comment real quick. Da-da-da-da-da.
Some
It's the one
people,
that Theus replied to, and you did as well.
Let me see, because I know exactly. I'm gonna have to mute myself real quick.
his lips are moving, but he's muting himself. And this is a great time. I can't with people.
I said I had to mute myself because when I click on the video, it's gonna play automatically.
Oh, right.
No.
Inclusion by way of segregation is still inclusive segregation. You can't have your cake and eat it too. We have one national anthem, and that's for every American, regardless of race, creed, religion, etc. Because men and women, capitalize men and women, okay, men and women of every, because he capitalized that word, every race, creed, religion, etc., pay for the anthem with life and limb. Have your own anthem if that's not good enough for you, but at least have enough respect because he capitalized it right for respect for the anthem that signify your rights to be able to even create a segregated and diversive anthem.
Ooh, that person is not smart.
Nope.
Apparently, they didn't read verses 2 and 3, but hey, I'll let it go. Most people haven't.
What I'm confused about here is that, okay, what do you want? It's either, go back to where you came from, or this. Well, no, we can't have inclusive segregation, whatever that is, but it's like,
And it comes
well,
down to
make up your
this: the
mind.
people who say they want us to go back to Africa really don't want us to leave.
No, they want
Because
us
if
to.
They
they
don't
wanted
want.
us to leave, they would give us enough money to leave. They were like, here, take it, go. They don't want
Mm,
us to leave. We're a convenience for them to hate something, to complain against something, to say these people took my job or my land or blah blah blah. And people like that little smart. I'm glad he didn't put something like that on my board. I'm like, thank you. I'm playing Lift Every Voice and Sing on every single show. Thank you. Because see,
Yeah.
that's how petty I would go. See, they don't. I try not to be petty. I really do. I try not to be, but that's gonna bring out the petty me. I play it every single show. I'll be like, sir, this is for you.
Mhm.
But that was the funny thing about it that kind of threw me. Inclusive by way of segregation is still inclusive segregation. I have no idea what the hell that even means.
Neither did the person that typed it. Guarantee they watch either Fox News, OAN, or Newsmax. One of the three.
But I'm going to move on because I already said what I had to say. The Star Spangled Banner was adapted as the national anthem in 1931. I guarantee damn well that the black community had no say so in that.
No.
So yeah. And as for segregation, we will
Inclusive.
go we would go right back to, let me see, what was said, blah 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 blah. See, including we as Americans, and we're all Americans and everything else, not forgetting that I did not find out until a couple of years ago that the U.S. military stayed segregated until 1948.
No, Marlon, it's inclusive segregation. Call it by its right name.
I don't even know what that means.
He or she don't either. They are troll.
But
There's
that's
like
the funny thing about it, though. Your anthem for all Americans, black,
talks about
white,
slavery, talks
all
about the
Americans,
blood of
was
slaves.
adopted in 1931. Yet our military was segregated until 1948. So was it really for all Americans?
That's too much logic for a troll. They got more.
Nope. Hey,
They
Mhm.
have
I've
more
changed my mind
courage
this year. I'm using all logic. You gonna say something crazy? I'm gonna use logic on you. I know you're not gonna listen, but I don't care.
or
And like I said,
understand.
somebody's listening to this show who gets it. That's who I'm talking to. I'm not even going to try to find the other guy because I have no idea what he was saying, and I was just like, okay, thank you. I don't know what he said. I have a problem with separation. Born and raised in Bronx, New York, mostly blacks but very diverse. I got to know so many different ethnicities, and that served me well in my entire life, and understandable. And I totally get that. And so have I. And so have I. But like I was saying, I don't have a problem with it. I just don't. But would I love to be a diverse? Yeah, of course. I learn a lot from anybody. I learn it now and then I learn how to ignore certain people. So I learn. But I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. As a
I
child,
wouldn't
I had so
want
many.
separation, but I would never dream of taking that away, that choice away from you.
As a child, I had so many different foods that many people still haven't never tasted or even heard of. Oh, including Thea's.